All right, good morning all. How's everyone?
We can't see your screen.
Second. See me now?
Yes. Thank you.
We're on. Excellent. All right, good morning. Finally, getting through the technical difficulties. I'm Jarlath O'Carroll. I'm the CEO and founder of Job Speaker. We're going to talk about pathways, student pathways from high school into college and beyond today. So looking forward to the conversation, and I'm going to kind of jump right in. First off, we're going to use some polling software to ask some questions. So you can use text or a link on your phone to participate. You simply text 22333 on your phone, and then, on your phone you text astute fish to 22333. And then it should send you back a message saying welcome to the poll, and then you can participate in a bunch of questions that we'll be asking. Okay, so once you're ready with that, then we'll go on to the next. Is that working for everyone? Apparently my slides are now stuck. So one second, I'm going to restart. That seems to be working. Are we back online now properly? Okay. So where were we? Polling software, apologies. Check in, if you haven't checked in, please check in. There's a placard at the back, and you can also just scan this QR code if you want.
Jarlath, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're seeing your presenter mode, not the full screen. Much better. Much better.
So check in. Just a quick poll of who's in the room. Who's with colleges? Everybody with colleges, I assume. What kind of role? Pathways? Anyone in pathways?
I am at a high school.
You're at high school?
I'm high school.
Excellent.
High school also.
All right. Fantastic. High school, college, rest of your college. Roles within the high school guidance?
I'm the coordinator of career education for the district and oversee our CTE pathways, among other things.
Okay. Similar for others?
I'm a CTE program specialist. I support all the CTE teachers and help with writing curriculum. Just like I need to be done.
Okay. Yep.
I'm college and career, regional college and career coordinator.
Awesome. Okay, great. And then the other folks are from colleges. Kira, what's your role in colleges?
I'm Dean of our Health Sciences programs.
And in the back?
I'm the Dean for Automotive Construction and Design Technology.
If you don't mind.
I'm the Workforce Board and I'm a program manager for the OAU program.
Okay, thank you.
Charter. Oh, okay.
And I know there's some people online, if you want to pop your information or what you're doing in the chat, that'd be great. So hopefully everybody online can hear us. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. I'm going to do a quick poll. I'm just on questions, and of course the questions are not going to work, so we're just going to do it live. So multiple technical issues today. So first question was, where, if you're going to go anywhere today, where would you go? So you can use the Slack and or the texting system, and Neve, if you can call out some of the answers. You can use the texting system. The first question is, where would you want to go if you were going anywhere? My preference is for Bali.
We have some New Zealand in here, Santorini, Australia, a lot of familiar faraway places that we keep seeing.
It's funny, nobody wants to go local. Every time I say this, I ask this question, nobody wants to go local. Everybody wants to travel as far away as possible. I'm not sure what that says. Maybe we've all been too close to home for a while. Okay, so quick introductions. We've kind of gone over that. I'll just quickly say I'm Jonathan Carlin, the CEO and founder of Job Speaker. Carmel, my colleague in the back. Carmel, if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Carol Cox and I'm the account manager at Job Speaker. Sorry.
And Bob and Neve, if you want to introduce yourself real quick, please.
Hi, I'm Bob Slayman. I'm the sales director here at Job Speaker.
Hi folks, my name is Neve and I work in sales and operations here in Job Speaker.
Okay, so why are we here today? The main reason we're here today, and from my perspective or our perspective, is the job market has changed and the economy has changed, and what's pictured here is the happy path, right? You're going from grammar school into high school, into college, and you have a great career for 45 to 50 years in your career, right? That used to be the happy path, but that doesn't exist anymore. Is that fair? Does everybody agree?
That is true.
So my dad had this happy path, right? He started in government and healthcare, and he stayed there for the rest of his life. Yeah, none of his children have had that luxury, and it's the same for, particularly now, for all of our students, right? My generation certainly didn't have that luxury, and the next generation won't. I have a high schooler, and he's trying to figure out what to do, and I'm like, well, figure out what you like, because it's going to change no matter what, right? So our contention is that within that pathway, the happy path is going to continue to change, let me just get this out of the way. That promise basically no longer exists So the kind of the education system needs to change to align with that ever-changing workforce, or ever-changing labor market. And we believe that skills are at the kind of the core of that conversation, because skills allow you to adapt to the needs in the marketplace, right? So as you're attaining skills, you're becoming more aligned with the job that you want, but also you're attaining skills for the rest of your life. And you can decide to drop or accentuate those skills over your lifetime. And then also we've heard of transferable skills, right? So the more skills you build within the pathway that you want to pursue, the more likely you're going to get a job in that. And then when you're ready for the next job, you can use those transferable skills to get into the next career. And folks in high school and college today are likely to have 20 different careers, not jobs, careers in their lifetime, right? That's fairly well publicized number, which is kind of shocking to most of us, but that's what's being predicted. So essentially, skills is part of the conversation, because as you know, employers are demanding more skills and more job readiness. And future skills building is kind of what's expected now in the labor market, that you have to continue to adapt to the labor market. Hence why the need for reskilling. There's a lot of need for reskilling today because of those who are affected by the pandemic. And so there's a lot of things that go behind that, that what you all do in preparing people for the world of work and getting them ready. And now, particularly after the pandemic, there's a lot of people that have been impacted and now are looking for new ways into new education that gets them reskilled into particularly from healthcare and hospitality, that they're now basically leaving droves. And you've all heard of the Great Resignation. There's a whole bunch of people basically deciding that they don't want to do that anymore and they want to do something else, right? So they need to adapt. So what do we see in the landscape today? What we see is a bunch of different tools at any one school or university that try to help move that conversation along. And one of the problems that we see is that it's hard for any one individual or institution to manage that because there's so many different kind of point solutions. And in some cases, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, right? So what we do is to try and help structure that conversation so that your students can get onto a pathway that helps them see how their pathway connects to other things that you're going to help them do in order to be better prepared for the world of work, right? So to put it more simply, is get them into a pathway that aligns with their interests, skills, and desires. Help them earn, learn, and attain and articulate skills that they've earned within that pathway in order to connect them to opportunities. Now, when most people say opportunities, you mean jobs? No, because particularly for high schools, it's not really, for some it's jobs, absolutely. But students need to build their confidence within that pathway. And so it's work-based learning. And work-based learning for us means any opportunity that student can get to be more familiar with that pathway, to expose themselves to that pathway, to learn what kind of other kind of individuals are in that pathway, and build their confidence over time, right? So opportunities is a wide swath of how that individual can become more aware of their career. The next question is, what phrase or word would you use to describe guided pathways to institution? So where are you in terms of, guided pathways has been around for a little while. Is it developing? Are you using it at all? Have you just started? Are you not there yet? Feel free to, those online, please pop your messages into the chat, or use the phone, or feel free to just shout out. Anyone?
I'm gonna say dead, like the pathway, COVID just killed it, like it just.
Colleges killed it, is that so?
No, I said the COVID did,
Oh,
like
COVID.
it just, we were just like ramping up, it was just like.
Yeah,
It just didn't, and it killed it, like it killed it, you know.
so it's
And
really,
for us, it's CTE pathways versus a guided pathway.
and is it going to be something that you reboot, or is it
that is what I want to do, like, so bad. Because I started off as a CTE teacher before I started, before I got this position as a college and career coordinator. So I know the value of CTE, you know, so, yeah. So,
Okay.
yes, that's like on my priority.
And anybody else, what's the status of the career or guided pathway institution? Is it, do you have something running? Are you looking to build more pathways from maybe your high school into the colleges, or do you have pathways, guided pathways in your institution? No?
What we have is we try to articulate between classes of the college students can curriculum move on that.
Yeah.
As far as the work-based stuff, or work-based learning coordinator, that's her job. Point out work-based learning, track that. And we just hired on somebody who's trying to develop more mentorship program for us. So
Okay.
we can actually start getting the students into those positions, those industry partners.
Yeah, what we're finding there is that if you don't know it exists, then you can't really, you won't pursue it if you don't know it exists. And even if you do know it, then you don't have anything to talk to about it, then you're not likely to persist, right? So mentors are very, very important. The next question was about different features, but as I said, we're struggling with the.
The next question is, why are you interested in guided pathways, if that's helpful, just from the back end?
Okay, thank you. You all came here for a reason. It said pathways in high school into college. So is it the pathways piece or is it the connection piece? Are you interested in how to facilitate connecting high school students into your local college or colleges? Or what is it that's kind of interesting you in this topic?
For us, we're trying to make sure the connections are there from middle school all the way through college. So
Okay.
anything that has to do with that connection, we're interested in seeing what's going on out there.
Anyone else?
We have in the chat getting high school students into college.
Okay, so direct alignment there. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing on the drive from the college side is to ensure that the high school students and even middle school students can get into a pathway and align. And from the college side, I think, you know, speaking from an outsider as a vendor, it makes sense from the college side to ensure there's enrollment there, ensure they can almost guarantee enrollment as students align with the pathway and the programs at that college. Obviously, from the high school perspective, helping students understand what pathways that need support, what options there are within that pathway, what roles, what jobs, and ultimately what skills they have to learn in that pathway. That's what we're hearing. Okay, so I'm going to skip on here and kind of give a quick synopsis as to how we think about pathways or guided pathways. I know there's different terminology used. Don't you love these kind of borders that they use? Blow things around. It's really helpful when you're trying to do a presentation. You hear that in the background. Yeah. So I'm sure you're all familiar with guided pathways and how this was developed with California in mind, but it was also developed with the Aspen Institute and AACC, the American Association of Community Colleges. This is how, you've probably heard of the 4 pillars. This is how California particularly talks about it. And then they talk about how to get on to that road to success and kind of expanded view into the pillars, 5 pillars. The way it's been adapted over time is to include like career exploration, career awareness, and career preparation, including the work-based learning piece. You see the several pieces there that include work-based learning. But we think there's 2 pillars actually missing from this conversation. What do you think they are? Any guesses? just for those online, we have a leaf blower in the background. That's really helpful for us all here. So it's employers, engaging employers, and engaging employers in the conversation, make sure that your pathways are aligned with industry and that the skills that are being earned in the classroom are the skills that ultimately employers are looking for. And then alumni. The way we look at alumni is, your student today, particularly from the college side, is, so your student today is your employee tomorrow, your employer the next day, and with what we talked about re-engaging and learning throughout your career, they're going to be your students the day after that, right? So it's a circular cycle. So this is how we picture pathways. That once a student gets into this conversation, and as you said, sort of in the middle, that conversation starts likely in middle school, where they're beginning to explore and just kind of have an idea of where they want to go, what their interests are, etc. But this is kind of somebody suggested like a hamster wheel. Basically, you're constantly on this hamster wheel, whether you like it or not. You begin to explore your career, then once you get into a career, you have to continually adapt. And so this kind of idea of exploration is not something that happens once and you're done. It's an ongoing exploration that happens throughout your career. Now, obviously, to get the right start in high school or middle school, it would be great to have the tools that enables your students to see the variety of careers that are out there, right? Because the variety of careers seems to keep expanding, and enabling them to see the kind of opportunities that maybe don't exist directly in their community, but exist in the wider community or across the nation or even across the world, right? There's lots of different opportunities that our students are not getting exposed to. Okay, so if we're generally speaking, looking to take job seekers or our students and get them the right help, assistance, and get them to be ultimately over to the right hand side of this picture as employees. Who do you work with? Who do you work with to help? Who do you work with today? So I'm asking you directly. So who do you work with today to help that conversation? Right? We've got high schools and colleges in the room here, so I assume they're counselors. Yeah.
Oh, partners, we work
Yeah.
really closely with Leo partners.
Leola, yeah. Libs. Anybody work with nonprofits or local nonprofits or other agencies?
We have
Okay.
someone online who works with WorkNet.
I'm not sure what WorkNet is, but yeah, if you could explain what WorkNet is. that'd
We
be
work with Pacific Gateway, but I don't know if that's a city program. I wouldn't necessarily say.
Yeah, and chambers or city program, absolutely. So the point here is that it takes a village, right? There's no one institution and no one individual that can really help prepare a student for whatever career it is, right? And that particularly today, students are coming at you from all different angles. In the traditional sense, like coming from grammar school into high school and then to college, but also there's adult students that are coming at you from the high school that need their high school diploma now because they got impacted by the pandemic. There's people with 30, 40 years experience that now need to reskill up. So those students are coming from the local WIB, maybe they're coming from nonprofits that maybe WorkNet is a nonprofit. So helping basically on the connected community around their campuses work together to ensure everybody can get into a pathway that makes sense to them.
We did get a comment on this, Meredith. Eric was saying he works with CTE and a lot of high school students, but a lot of the students seem to think that community colleges exist for the purpose only of transferring to four-year institutions and not gaining actual trade skills.
Any comment on that? Sorry?
Interesting.
Yeah, I comment probably knows that's not true. And there's obviously a lot of jobs that people can go directly into the workforce if that's their choosing, particularly on the CTE side, right? So. Sorry.
I was just going to make a comment to what you said. I work in a very affluent school district, and so they do definitely see community colleges just to transfer to a four-year, because right now it's very difficult to get into UCs, which is where they all want to go. And so when they don't get in, we've had multiple ones that are, 4.2 to a 4.4 that didn't get into any of the UCs that they applied to. And so they're going to go to a community college to then be able to transfer to that UC that they didn't get in initially. So there's definitely a lot of work to be done in our community in terms of helping them realize that, a four-year college is not necessarily the only way to get to what your end goal is. But they definitely in our community have that mindset that a community college is only for transfer.
Or that four-year guarantees the job, that
Right.
guarantees
Yeah.
employment.
Yeah, there is no guarantees. But it's also interesting, the conversation today has, particularly in the last couple of years, has been like, is college worth it? Right, that whole question. And I think personally, I think it depends on the person, right? Because college is not for everyone, but can help. Certainly, if you have a college degree, on average, it does guarantee a better income over your lifetime. But it's a very personal thing. Not everybody needs to go to college, and certainly I know plumbers that make a lot more than anybody else I know. So, this is just an example of one of our colleges down in the South Central Coast, Allen Hancock College, where we work today, where they have basically built a program that is, and maybe Carolyn, you can help me out here a little bit, that's working with their local high schools and really helping to articulate those pathways from the high school into the college, and bringing those high schoolers onto the campus for multiple events, but also there's a lot of children students as well. Is that right, Carolyn?
Yeah, they're very involved with their community in general. So, and particularly the high school, they have a huge event every year where all the high schools, they post them in, and they have all their choir partners. They're pretty focused on what they're learning and just starting the pathway of their music house and campus. Just to help them in school and and hopefully be able to provide that program for them as well. They teach the programs, as much as they can to this line.
So that last event they had, what was the numbers? Like 2,500 high school students that were bussed in from all local high schools, and they had. It was mainly to talk about the programs they had at the school, but I think
It's something like close to 200 choir where they have just the choirs there talking with their high school students and letting them know that opportunities. It's a huge event.
yeah.
Charles, could you repeat those numbers? It's just a little hard to hear on this end.
Sure, there was about 2,500 students that showed up for the event, and they were all bussed in from their local high schools. Then there was about 200, up to 200 employer partners that basically, basically had a booth or a table that talked about careers within their industry or within their
Exactly.
employers. Yeah, within that. So their goal is to make those connections across their community by building what they call, the Allen Hancock College Path to Promise, building those relationships early and often between across their community, essentially with elementary schools, K-12 schools, and basically helping their local population see the pathways that they can pursue within their community and the employers that are ready and willing to hire. Any questions about that? I mean, are you all doing something similar or looking to do something similar? Do you all work? Yeah. Yeah, so they're very, they also work, they also work their local WIP to bring in the clients from the WIP to ensure that they can find the right program based on their interests and skills. So we've been working with them to ensure that they can articulate those pathways. So as I said before, like making sure that an individual student can align with a pathway and then earn skills along that pathway in order to ultimately get a job. I'll stop here for a second. Any questions on what we're doing there or elsewhere? There's a lot more. I'm sure you've seen this. A lot more interest in the K-12 alignment and K-12 strong workforce program, obviously, and ensuring the alignment between the high schools and colleges. Is anybody pursuing more of that, or just that's what you're doing? You're already doing it. You're just going to continue to do it. Bakersfield focus in the back, you've been quiet. It's early.
I know one of the things in Orange County that a lot of our districts are working on is expanding dual enrollment, but in CTE. So introducing students to career pathway classes from their community college, but they're taking them in high school through dual enrollment. So similar to articulation, they're earning free college credit, but they're actually taking the college class as opposed to articulating the high school class of the college. So that's one of the things in Orange County that we're definitely working on expanding. We've been doing dual enrollment for more academic classes like math and sciences before, but now the focus is really transitioning to those career pathway classes to kind of expose students to those community college career pathways.
Is that just in recognition that not every student is going to pursue like the math and STEM?
Oh, no, it's just, I think it's just to broaden their understanding of the options at the community college. A lot of the districts face similar things that I do in my district, where they have that mindset that if they go to a community college, it's just to do a transfer path to a 4-year. And so by expanding dual enrollment into the career pathway classes, it helps those students understand those different types of options at the community college, and then maybe they'll figure out, hey, I can go there and I can get an AA or an AS degree, depending on what they're interested in doing, and start working. I don't necessarily need to go to a 4-year college.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
And we do the same thing. Ours started off first with having our CTE, our dual enrollment courses. And one of our reasons was, say, for example, a construction pathway. We don't have space for that, for a full-on construction pathway, or we don't have space for one of the popular pathways was child development. We don't have a child care center where students can go and do practicum or classes like that, or healthcare. So that's how we started kind of having our students do CTE at the college. It just gave them a better program than what we could give them on our campus.
There's no point in bringing up maybe building out another lab for construction or for welding or whatever when you have one next door, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We do something similar, but we target the pathways. Like we have an EMT pathway, and so we bring them on the campus to do dual enrollment. So, because our kids have problems getting there. So we're trying to target the capstone classes, dual enrollment, bring those instructors on our campus.
But just to reduce the friction for students, so they don't have to feel like they have to travel somewhere else.
Right, and plus it gives them that connection with the staff from the college, so that when we do graduate, they think of, hey, maybe I'm just gonna take my class online at the college.
Yeah, I've heard both sides of that argument. Some say it's better to bring the faculty members on your campus at the high school, and others say no, that some of these students need the exposure to the college and love it, right? But again, it depends on the personality sometimes.
Well, we also do college visits, we'll bus them over to the colleges, let them walk around, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. And just in the back there on the website, how do you engage with the colleges today? Do you pick pathways?
We do. We offer different career pathways. We work with a lot of community colleges in the area. And then we also take our Leo into the different campuses to expose them to college life. And hopefully, we're trying to do more of the dual enrollments, kind of pushing that freshman as far as when you have a lot of stuff already going on, so they don't want to.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like to kind of transition into just time that much more time do we have?
About
5
7
minutes.
minutes.
7 minutes to be exact. Okay, that's what I'm told. So just very quickly, how we do it, and there's lots of other tools out there, so I'm just going to quickly go through this. But how we do it is we help students kind of explore and see the labor market data, see the options they have based on interest assessment. So this is what our solution looks like, but like I said, plenty of solutions around. Assessment that helps them align with a particular pathway based on their interests and skills. And it's a RACIC and Holland Code compliant assessment that ultimately gives them a view into the labor market that's matched to options in the labor market that are matched to their interests, right? And then what we do is we link them to the programs at your local college or colleges, right? So best match or any match, and you can filter the options based on, well, I do want to go to college, so what are the best options for me if I want to go to college? I don't want to go to college, so I want to go straight into a career, so what does that look like? Right, so we can filter the options based on matches and based on those filters, which also ultimately then brings you into a website, and this is what we do with other schools, align them with the programs at the colleges where necessary to either do the dual enrollment courses or I know this is hard to see, dual enrollment courses or or courses once they enroll in that college formally. So what you're seeing here is areas of study or areas of interest, and the labor market data associated with each one, so that your students or prospective students at the college can see, if I was to take this direction, this pathway, these are the kind of jobs that I'll be able to pursue. Like I said, the labor market demand, red is low, amber is medium, and green is hot, right? High demand. And as I said, we can connect them into multiple programs, particularly at the WIB. This might be useful, where students might live across your region and would be looking for a the closest possible program to pursue, and that's travel or the ability to travel to campuses is a big determination factor for some. And then showing them much more detailed data about that program or that career choice, right? If they were to pursue it, particularly at high school, it's basically the exploration, right? At high school, it's much more, okay, if I was to pursue nursing, what does it look like? If I decided to go to welding, what does it look like? What kind of jobs are available? What programs support that job or that career? What kind of salary can I earn? What kind of education do I need? And what are the local employers that are hiring for these roles today? Where do I see myself being employed in now, in 6 months, in 2 years, in 4 years? Who's actually hiring against this role or this industry today? We can also show the program information. If you've already mapped out for your college or within your pathways, we can show the classes that are embedded in the program and what classes that student will have to take in order to complete, right? So that was really it. Just going to stop for any more questions or comments.
So so say for example, like October region, how does the program work? Are students just logging in individually, or is it like they have their own login? Once they graduate, do they still have access to it? How does that work?
Yeah, it depends. So if it's done on a single college basis, then whoever that college allows access to, and oftentimes it's basically the whole community.
Mhm.
So anybody that can come to that site can use the assessment and see what kind of programs, and you don't have to log in or create an account to do that. But then once you take the next step, maybe of just saving that assessment or saving a job, then you create an account potentially with that college. If it's across a region of multiple colleges, then you're just saving an account across for a kind of regional account,
Okay.
and the student has access for life. Right? So it's as we kind of started the conversation, career exploration doesn't start and stop at the door of a high school or a college, right? It continues on. So our goal is to provide a tool to help anyone navigate the career and help them basically understand how to get from where they are today to where they want, right? And just a little bit of background on me and why I started it. I started it during the financial recession when I was impacted personally. I had plenty of options, so I wasn't particularly worried about it, but there was millions of other people like me that didn't have that many options. So that was the genesis of starting this, is to basically help people with the information, the data, and tools to make it easy to understand what's out there and how to get to where they want to
How often is the data refreshed?
Every day.
These courses.
go. Courses is usually every year for the college. On the college side, it's usually done every year, but it can be done as often as the college wants on the college side, right? So typically, they do a major refresh every year, pulling some courses or classes and adding new ones. But it can be done, it's on a semester basis as well.
But that falls to the college to do that.
For the college programs, but if we're implementing on the high school, then same would apply. Right? If you have pathways in the high school and you want to refresh and create a new pathway, then that can easily be done. Yeah, usually it's certainly not more frequent than every semester. Right? Okay, any other questions online?
We do have a comment here. Mackenzie said she shows her students the You Explore tab during workshops, and they have used it to help build their resumes. Having the single sign-on has been helpful because students don't have to create an account. She lets them all know that they have an account, it just needs to be activated by them logging in for the first time and confirming their information. And faculty have also found it very useful.
Yeah, I will say, thanks for that. I will say that we did a pilot with several schools last year during the pandemic, just to help high school students see how the types of skills they would need to earn in order to pursue their career. But they said it was both, they loved it, but they said it was both shocking and enlightening, because they didn't realize how much they had to actually learn in order to pursue a career. But it was also enlightening because they know they had a lot of work to do, right? But built into the other side of our platform is a tool to help students build their resume, build an online profile and resume. What the person online is commenting on is that's built into our You Explore tool. It's built into the platform that allows people just to go into the labor market and say, I want to be a plumber. What does that look like? I want to be an electrician. I want to be a doctor. What does that look like so that he or she could just explore different options? That's always available in the platform. So no matter what course or program you're in, sometimes life gets in the way and you need to change, or sometimes, you signed up to be a nurse and you realize you can't stand the sight of blood and it's time to change, right? So just keeping the options open and allowing people to explore and then ultimately see what their resume would look like or is looking like. I think we're at time, so I appreciate your attention. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Happy to continue the conversation here or outside. Thanks all. Appreciate it.